Paris is in a spot of bother. It seems he's been convicted of murdering a guy. We know it's definitely true though, because we see it from the victim's eyes as the murder is replayed to Paris, apparently as a form of punishment. The guy even has the courtesy to look at the knife which was used to stab him as he walks by it, which is very considerate to the prosecution and definitely a thing you would do at random in your own home. Aboard Voyager, Kez is continuing her medical training with the doctor. She asks him if he's thought about his name yet, and the doc says it wouldn't be right for a hologram to make a choice because programming and so on. This writing feels far more heavy-handed than previous exchanges, which is a shame, but it's in the right direction at least. They're interrupted by Janeway, who says an incoming shuttlecraft has an injured crew member aboard, but they can't tell who. Could be Kim, could be Paris, who were presumably off decking about together. They teleport the casualty aboard, it's Kim in case you weren't paying attention at the start, who says he was forced to leave Paris behind. The entire crew has a party and they fly away, abandoning him forever. Not really. He says the Benean, the species they were apparently visiting, has convicted Paris of murdering an engineer physicist that they were working with regarding that whole stranded in the Delta Quadrant thing. Flashback time, and we see them introduced to Professor Dead by the science minister, who looks a bit fucking shady if you ask me. We're told that Professor Dead is shit hot with navigation arrays, which they need to keep ahead of their sinister neighbours, the Numeri. Then we go to Professor Dead's home to talk business, and are introduced to his wife, Little, who is young and attractive and dismissive of her husband. Side note, I quite like that drinks cabinet. Kim gives Paris a bit of side-eye for perving on Professor Dead's wife, then the dog starts barking at him too, because even dogs know that Tom Paris is a dick. At dinner, Professor Dead explains how he's a terrible husband who works too much, but this is unavoidable because they're at war. Little seems to dislike talk of this and buggers off. The flashback ends and Kim says Paris probably spent some time with Little that night instead of working, then saw her again the next day, which is the day Professor Dead was killed. Janeway sets course for the Benean homeworld to knock some bloody heads together. They're intercepted by the Numeri, who tell them to keep out of the war, which Janeway promises to do. Neelix says this is unusually courteous of the Numeri, which is very curious. We arrive at the planet and Janeway chats with the shady science minister, who explains that Paris is a right proper murderer because they have the extracted memories of the victim to prove it. They speak to Paris, who says he didn't kill Professor Dead, but admits he was a little bit trying to shag Little. Flashback time, and we see Paris talking to Little on the first night. Little explains it's a loveless marriage, while some particularly bad flirting occurs. Paris enters a murder memory cycle and falls unconscious. The Beneans say there were some problems with the memory graft, because alien, so Janeway takes him up to Voyager for medical treatment, and shady science minister agrees to this with nothing but their word that they won't just scarper, which feels like the sort of thing you'd agree to if you wanted them to leg it. Up on the ship, the doc says that the implant is going to cause permanent damage, so we'd best hurry up proving him innocent. Tuvok teleports back down and chats with Little, who seems fine with the whole murder thing because she told Professor Dead she wanted a space divorce. She also says that she totes saw Paris do a stabbing, so fuck off, Tuvok. He teleports back up and questions Paris. Paris doesn't remember anything after drinking tea with Little, which is definitely not suspect. Just then, a couple of Numeri turn up and start firing on Voyager. Voyager slaps them and they shut the fuck up.
But they'll soon be back, and in greater numbers.
Tuvok suggests Vulcan brain fun times with Paris so he can see the murder himself, after which he seems to have it all figured out. Janeway contacts Shady Science Minister and says they'll be sending Paris back, via shuttlecraft, in an hour. Cometh the time, and a Numeri patrol turns up and grabs the shuttle, which is a little odd given who knew about it. Tuvok already foresaw this, though, and it was a trap. They teleport Kim and Paris off the shuttle and tell the Numeri it's packed with TNT. They spit it out and bugger off. Tuvok arranges for everyone concerned to be at the murder house and goes full Poirot.
Number 1. The murderer was the same height as Little. Paris is clearly much taller. Number 2. The murderer stabbed Professor Dead directly in the Benean heart, showing great knowledge of their anatomy. Number 3. The memories had science bollocks on the bottom of them. This is not normal, and was encoded data for the Numeri, which is why they tried to kidnap him. I put it to you, unknown doctor who has not really been in the episode that much, that you are the murderer. You are the right height. You knew anatomy. You altered the memories that you implanted. You knew about the shuttlecraft thing. And the cherry on top? You say that you do not know Little and have not been here before, but alors, the doggy, she recognizes you.
Cue a confession from Little, then they're dragged away by security. Everything is great and they fly away without being attacked by the Numeri, who expressly stated that involving themselves would result in them being considered hostile, but I guess we're just ignoring that bit now. End of episode.